I get more feedback as to what somebody would like to see done to it, we can modify it more. So that's where we're at there. All that stuff happens. Then we obviously go into this got_value function, and if the tag from the database is the status, this is where we set that green or that red dot. So this just draws a circle. This makes that circle green. This draws that same circle, makes that circle red. It's pretty simple. Nothing really fancy here. If the get global status is true, there you go. It'll do this one. The only other condition is false. It's binary. It's either true or it's false. It can't be something else. So if it's not green, it's going to be red. If it's not red, it's going to be green. Pretty straightforward. And then we obviously, that's just setting it, the global status, and checking it. So next bit of stuff here in this block that we have got to concern ourselves with is the chat history. So that'll be the next thing that ends up happening here, is the chat history will get recalled. So if the tag is the chat history, then we're going to say, is it a list? Check it. Yes, it should be a list because it's the chat history, but we're going to check anyway just to prevent any kind of errors, add stability to the system. And then we're going to set the value to our global history. Then we've got this long list of 20 things here that we are going to set here to set the labels. So we're just going to go through, we're going to set all of the labels to the text of that string. So every message that's in that history, there's 20 of them. We're just going to set them all to the labels so they turn around and they appear. And that's all this statement does here. Pretty simple, straightforward, nothing fantastical there. The next thing we've got going on here is checking the message that comes back. So as you guys aren't aware, we do have here this chat message stuff. I did talk about the chat message, but we've got the list index of 1 and list index of 2. List index of 1 is me, list index of 2 is the person I'm talking to. They come first this time. Well, remember, each person has their own unique last message with the person they're talking to. In this case, I want to check their name and their name first, then my name and their message, because that's what's going to get changed when the message gets uploaded. So when the clock fires, which we'll talk about here in just a second, it's going to pull that information and we're going to check this and we're going to make sure that that is indeed the correct tag there and all this other goody stuff. So we'll actually explain that now. So when I enter a message here, which is right here, actually, here's the sign out button. To sign out, that just signs you out and closes the application. Nothing special there. So we're gonna ignore. That's all this is. Just implements exiting the application. Nothing fancy there at all. This, however, is a pretty important block of text here. This is going to update our text, or update our dialogue going back and forth. So it's going to look at what I have, which will be my message. My message gets entered in here. Okay. I turn around, I click the button. I want to send the message. It's going to call this chat update function. Well, this chat update function is going to turn around and it's just going to update my screen. It's not updating my buddy's screen. It's just updating my screen first. My buddy's screen doesn't get updated until the clock fires on their side, which we'll talk about here in just a second. But the chat updating, we're going to check, make sure the length of the list is less than 20. If it is, then we're going to do this. If it's not, then we're going to do something a little bit more interesting. We have to shift everything. So this is the non-shifted stuff at work, which basically means if Basically, we want to kick the last message out for the oldest message out of the string first. If we're still less than 20, then we don't need to worry about that. We don't need to worry about kicking that out, so we can just continue. But if I wanted to make it to where I could store more than 20 messages, maybe I wanted to do 200 messages, that's where I would change that, would be right there. But then I would also need to add 200 labels. That's going to be quite a few labels, just so you guys are aware. And then at that point, you're going to want to make it to where your application can scroll. And so you're going to have to make it to where your application is scrollable, which should be pretty simple to implement if you just turn around. And on the screen, it is scrollable already, so it's already checked. If you just added 180 more labels, which would be quite a bit of work, you can make it to where now you've got 200 pieces of text going back and forth between somebody. But I did 20 for simplicity's sake. This can all be adapted, and you can change it to whatever you want to change it to. But just be warned, this gets a lot hairier, obviously, the more messages you add, and it's probably going to take you a really long time to implement it. All right, what else do we got going on here? This is the replace stuff that's going to be going on here. So this is where we turn around and we take and we shift everything. So the very last message that we received, we're going to shift that to position 19, and then 19 will get shifted to 18, so on and so forth. And then the first message will get kicked out, and the second message will go to the first position. So that's all this statement does. And then this just refreshes everything. That's all it does, is just refreshes the list. So there's a lot of work that has to be done to get that to function that way, but that's just the way things have got to go, you know? That's what this stuff is for. Just so you guys are aware how this works, if the length of the list is greater than 19, that's the only time we're going to want to set this label. That's why we do this. So this is only like when you have no messages at all with that specific person will this block ever get called. Once you're greater than 20, which could be really quickly if you're using this app a lot, this block in theory will never get called again, and it will be this block from then on until you get a new friend and you start talking to them. So that's what all this is. It just updates it. Pretty simple. Nothing really super spectacular there. All right, now let's talk about what happens when you get a message specifically. So in order to do that, we have to talk about the clock. So when the clock fires, which is every 2 seconds, I believe, is it 2 or is it 1? It is every second, every 1 second. It's going to check. So what it's going to do is it's going to say, okay, the clock's firing. It's time to check something. First thing we're going to do is we're going to check that person's status, make sure they're still online. If they're still online, we're going to keep their dot green or red. If not, we're going to change their dot to the other one. So that's what the first thing it does. The second thing it does is it checks that chat message that they set. So when you set your message, when you update your message, you're doing your name, then their name in that message. That's why on the receiving side, you have to check for their name, then your name, the other way around. So when we do that, we check this. Okay, checking that message. All right, good. Come back over to here. We're going to turn around. Here's where we check the status. We already talked about that. Nothing different. It does the exact same function. However, this is where stuff starts to get a little bit interesting here. This stuff does the same thing that the updating did over there. If you don't have 20 messages yet, you're going to make it to where you can still get 20 messages. If you're going to edit, your 20 message stuff, you're going to have to edit this block as well, just so you guys are aware. So you'd have to add more code here, but you just copy and paste and repeat the same process over and over again to make this longer. Now, what goes on here is we check that tag that we received from the database, make sure it's equal to the chat message and that it's not null, basically, that the message is not null. So if you send a blank message, nothing's going to happen. So yeah, and actually, no, I'm sorry. If you send a blank message, it looks like something probably will happen. But if you send a message and it's equal to the old message, it's not going to do anything. So the message has to change. Otherwise, it will not allow. So you can't send the same message twice. So this makes an assumption that you're not going to do that. It could probably be modified to where you could send the same message twice, but for simplicity's sake right now, that was the best way to implement it. And I made this over a month or two ago, and maybe at the time I couldn't think of any other way off the top of my head to do it. So I did it this way. Right. Now, when a new message comes in, we're going to vibrate the device. This vibration could get replaced. This is like what I was telling you. You guys could turn around and you could do a play. So you could set your source to whatever you want it to be, and then you could just play your little sound or whatever, you know. So that is where you would do your little sounding message. It should work rather well. I can't imagine why it wouldn't. But it vibrates, lets you know, hey, you got a new message. All right, cool. Then you set the new message to the value from the database, so the value of the tag. That gets set in there. Store that value onto your message. So that becomes your last message. Call the chat update to update the chat stuff. And then store the chat history. We want to be able to store the chat history every time we do that back to the database, because we have to store, keep track of everything, conversation that's gone back and forth. We don't want to lose any information. So that's pretty much everything in a nutshell. Hopefully I explained this stuff pretty straightforward. You guys already know I can answer any questions you have if you send a comment. But for now, we're going to move on to demonstrating. So let's get this thing set up here. Here we go. All right. 7619. Connect to the partner. Allow. Alrighty. Beautiful. Beautiful. All right. So there's my phone. We're going to scroll over to the application. And there's the application. I already created a name ahead of time. I think on one of them. I think I created 2 names actually. Let's do 70. So this should sign in, and you guys can see it says logging in, and it lets me in, and it doesn't let me in. Let me quick check something. Make sure my okay, well, I don't know why that didn't work. There it is. Okay, it must have just had a network problem. It didn't want to find me for a second there, I guess. And then I already have a friend programmed into the database, so I'm going to enter his name, and I'm going to say add friend, and wow, that text comes up super duper freaking small. I don't know why that is, but whoa, why is it only drawing half of my circle here? Okay, I don't know why it's only drawing half of my circle. What does it do on the tablet? Let me see here. Alright, let's see. So let me open it on this side. And then I gotta check what my password is. It is... okay. Come on. Why does this stuff gotta not work the way it's supposed to? Steele and foo. Why? What is going on with this crap? Sign in. Okay, well, I'm going to create something new, I guess, on the fly. For whatever reason, I have to create a new login stuff because my login for the other name user is not working. I don't know why. Come on. Must be having network communication slowness or something. All right. Wow. It is not connecting at all. There it goes, finally. There must be some kind of a web service, something or another, but you guys are going to be able to see what happens here in just a second. Oh my gosh, wow. There it is. My goodness. All right. So you guys can kind of see here. Oh my gosh. This stuff's getting irritating. The web service must be having some kind of issue right now or something, but there we go. Okay. And I got to add steel. That's why. I'm sitting here wondering why my dot's not showing up the color it's supposed to. There he goes. Now it's showing up green on there. Oh my gosh. You guys can see my green dot did pop up. Let me see if I can get my other Android device here to do what it's supposed to do. My gosh. Technical difficulties. I cannot believe it. Okay, there we go. Alright. Let's try that again. And I'll just send a simple message, such as, I don't know, this hello. So you guys should be able to see that hello came up on my screen. I did not type that on this side, otherwise you would have seen that, obviously. How are you doing? I'm typing that on my other device, guys, so you're not seeing that pop up on this side. Screw the question mark. And I'll just say send. And communication with the web service timed out. So you guys can already see sometimes you've got to be a little bit, there it goes. Now it finally went. But you guys can see sometimes you got to be a little bit patient. But you should see it. There it is. See, so there's a little time delay, obviously, but you can kind of see I'm able to send messages back and forth, and just like if, I don't know, if I send a message back on my side, you guys aren't going to be able to see it because I'm only mirroring the one device, but the message did come up on my tablet. So it is working the way it's supposed to work. These two green dots here might be some kind of a bug or fluke or something. I'll look into that and I'll edit the code when I get ready to post it. But that is essentially pretty much it, though. You've got some form of a web chatting application. As soon as I exit, you guys can see that my dot should go red now for that person. As soon as I log, now I see my dot just turned red there. I logged out. As to why that's showing up a half circle, I'm not entirely sure yet. I'm going to look into that. But for right now, it's showing up a half circle. I'll try to get it fixed, and we'll see what happens. But that is essentially it, though. You know, I signed back in, and it should turn back green on the screen. Yep. And then I've got my person that I can continue the conversation with, and my chat history loads back up, and you guys can see that on this side. that does the same thing. Chat history comes right back. So it does remember every conversation I had. So I can enter, a bunch of stuff. And once it gets to 20 messages, you guys can see it starts booting off my old stuff. So remember that sending the same message, though, again, will not send it to the other device or will not get it on the other device. You will only get it if the text string changes. If you guys are interested in getting that stuff modified and you don't know how to, I will show you how to do it. But you can clearly see that this application does do what we need it to do and functions the way it needed to function in order to have some form of a web chatting application. So anyways, it sounds like this is probably running a little bit long. Yeah, running way long. Please like, comment, subscribe. If you have any questions, as always, leave a comment. Send me an email at codedsteele@gmail.com. If you guys would like to see more videos in the future, please donate to my channel. I can't stress that enough. That's what makes it possible for me to be able to continue this stuff. Otherwise, it gets kind of difficult to keep going with this. So, yeah, I'll, as always, leave any comments as far as applications you would like to see. I think I saw something about some kind of a time card application for jobs. I'm going to try to probably implement that one next and demonstrate it to you guys, and we'll see where it goes. Thanks a lot for watching, guys, and I will see you guys in the next video.